I went off travelling for years and years. And yeah, had a great time. Came home, met a man, got married, had a child, got to 40 and thought, oh, I need a degree.
And now doing the MA, I think my parents are very supportive. I think it's something that they would have done.
I suddenly realised 2 weeks into the course that I hadn't given any thought to what I was going to do. I was just excited to be there. I worked for a company called Deloitte. But when I was 40, my wife bought me a painting course for my 40th birthday. From then on, it developed from a hobby to something more serious. I'm currently at the Royal College of Art doing a 2-year MA in sculpture. I wasn't the only one. There were 100 students on the course, and 20 of those students were mature students, so you didn't feel quite so outside the norm. But you still had a lot of young, excitable, loud and noisy young students. They would treat you a bit like another tutor because you have so many life skills. Okay, so I'm going to coat the paper. This is very thick. On my Royal College of Art MA, I gave one of the tutors a lesson in how to propose for new work. So something I used to do at Deloitte's, and she won the commission. Largest commission that she'd ever won. So sometimes it does turn around.
He's always had to do his accounting, which is very linear and very disciplined and quite right-brainish, and now he's got the chance to expand his artistic and creative side. It's quite an interesting combination, I think.
It's always warm, so it dries quicker here. Doing education the second time around is an interesting sort of challenge, but it's quite exciting because you're not distracted as you were the first time when you were 18 years old. I wouldn't learn all those new skills in my home studio. Being amongst other artists, you learn lots of different approaches to art. So we'll leave it there for about 10 minutes in the sun. I did my first degree was 3 years in Exeter University, and you're still growing up, you're learning new life skills, you're distracted by girls, music, drink, drugs, all those types of things. So the second time round, when you're a mature student, you don't have any of those distractions. A couple of things have happened since the Second World War. My generation is living much longer, and also my generation have been able to earn more money, so you can afford to retire early. So I think that's two of the main reasons for being able to do it. And then I think a lot of people are dissatisfied with just doing the corporate life as a lawyer or an accountant, and want to try something more creative, something where you actually sort of create something tangible.
My name's Alice. I am on the MA course at University College London, studying practical documentary filmmaking. I'm doing the MA part-time in order to work at the same time to pay for the course and pay for living. For the last 18 years I've been working in TV in the art department, putting sets together and getting props together. So that was the location, Palestine, and well, it's a tunnel into Palestine basically. So we had to cut into the rock here. You can see we had to cut into the rock and then build it, and that's inside. So that was where the rock is, so the land is here. And then the action was that people came through smuggling goods through the tunnel. But the reason I did this course is because I wanted to challenge myself with making my own work. And I think going back into education, I wanted to open my mind again. I wanted to have the opportunity to yeah, to kind of get my mind thinking again in that kind of academic way, where you can actually really get hold of a subject and really enter into it quite deeply. I think the biggest challenge is actually doing the dissertation film, which I'm doing at the moment. That's all for my film, they're notes for my footage. We're encouraged to make a film that's up to 30 minutes. It's quite a big project, and so far I've never made a film 30 minutes long, so it's quite a challenge. Yeah. I've done transcripts, written out what everyone said so that I can pull it together and identify the bits that I need for my film. So these are all falling down now, but I was kind of isolating parts, but I've actually found by doing the transcribes it's actually helps me a bit more. She'll sit there and look up at me. Immediately I already have a job lined up, so I will go back into art department, being an art director again on a TV drama. But in between jobs, because I'm freelance and go from project to project, I'd like to continue working on my own films.
It's about half an hour, so I drop my daughter at school and then I walk to the station. 2 hours to get to my lecture. I'm doing a history degree, so luckily I only have to go once or twice a week. So this is where I study, this is where we eat, this is the table where we do everything. So I can only study when my family are not here. When I was younger, I was into sort of alternative scenes, so punk rockers and all that kind of thing, and hippies. I belonged to a group of people who lived in old buses, moved across to Europe. This photo was taken in about the year 2000. This is at the top of a mountain in Tuscany where they filmed A Room with a View, yeah? Just friends, loads of friends. But I could never quite make enough money. I could never quite fill the cupboards, and it all just became too much of a struggle. So in 2003, when I was 30, I just came back to England. The original idea when I started my history degree was that I wanted to teach. I think I hid that part of myself for years. When I was travelling, I kind of didn't think, didn't use my brain. Have you got something I can... Oh, I need to pay the window cleaner. This is my life. Working, studying, paying the window cleaner. I liked academia. What I'd really like to do is lecture. But for that I need a PhD. My husband has said, please don't do a PhD. And you can see from my house, I don't have a study. I don't have an office. So that's something for the future. Also, my daughter is moving to secondary school next year. So I need to invest some time in her. I need to make sure she's settled. I need to make sure she gets to a good school. I need to bring some money in instead of just making more student debt, which is kind of what I'm doing at the moment. But I would really love to have a PhD. So my favourite, the thing what I did my dissertation on is women travellers. I'm really interested in how their authorship comes across and how they write about space, but also in the 19th century, how they're sort of constrained by their gender. I have a daughter, I work, I study, I have a husband. To me, my life was so exciting for so long, and now it can be quite boring, and I love it.